What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the Bomber Command Buddy Build here on Ben Builds. This is episode number 10, and today, guys, we are going to finish off the Armstrong Whitley 100%. We're going to get this thing all finished up and give you guys a look at the process up to the very end and then show you guys what we come up with. So last episode, we went ahead and did most of the painting and the most of the basic assembly. We have the bits and bobs left to do. We have some of the finer points. We have some painting left to do, and of course decals, gloss coat, and weathering. So lots to do. Let's waste no time. Dive right on in here to the landing gears. I want to get those installed, masked off, get them ready for paint. Let's do it, guys. All right, not too shabby. Now let's go ahead and secure these landing gears here just with a little bit of super glue. It's just better to have this nice and secure. Also, I have to say I love the assembly of the landing gears, though there is a little bit of an issue here with the rear wishbone area. It's a little finicky to get installed. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the bomb bay as well. We do have to install the bomb bay doors and we have to install the bombs. Now, the bomb bay doors are actually too short for the opening there. So what I've done is I've installed a little strip of styrene here on the front bomb bay doors, and that will allow us to go ahead and glue those in and get them all nicely aligned and tacked in. Now I'm not going to install these just yet, not till after I install the bombs, but I want to get this tacked up and glued so I can have those ready for installation soon. So we also have to install the flaps. A couple episodes ago I went ahead and masked these off with some Tamiya tape. Let's go ahead and pull off these masks and check out how the paint looks underneath. It should be just perfect. I don't think there's any overspray, any issues with leakage. I think it should be perfect. So let's just pull these off here and see how the color turned out underneath. This model kit is super, super nice, and I really want to do a good job on this. So I'm just going to have fun with this, and let's just see how this turned out. Nice, look at that. Let's go ahead and get the other side as well. Now the flaps themselves just kind of fit in. There's about 4 or 5 locating tabs that just kind of slip into the underside of the wing. So we're just going to align those, and we're going to take a little bit of extra thin Tamiya and put 1 drop on each of the locating tabs. Let's also install the front loading hatch. Just make sure that this is nicely tacked in. There's actually 2 ways to get into the Whitley. One of them would be through the front nose hatch and the other through the side door. So let's go ahead and put on this nose hatch and get this lined up. Fit is a little odd, but I think we are pretty decent. A little bit of extra thin, of course, will help to tack that in place. I think we'll be ready to rock. Next on the list, I want to go ahead and paint the actual exhaust stubs with a rust color. This is Model Masters Rust, so that should look pretty decent. After these are painted, we're going to dive into those bombs, cue that time lapse, and get the bomb bays pretty much set. So let's go ahead, and now that the bombs are all in place, let's go ahead and install the center bomb bay doors. I didn't want to put them in prematurely because I didn't want to have any sort of issue with the bombs themselves. And the bombs were not easy to fit. One of the issues I've had recently here in this bench session is those bombs do not want to go in. That's probably why they have you install the bombs onto the racks and then the entire assembly into the bomb bay. But you know what? Hey, live and learn. I did actually separately, so probably next time around I won't do that. The bomb bay is all finished up. It looks awesome. I love it. Those yellow bombs really pop next to the darkness of the underside. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get on to the next step here. Now, I actually off camera went ahead and sprayed the entire aircraft in Future. It's been drying for about 48 hours, and I think we're ready for decals. Now, the Future didn't go on as evenly as I was hoping, but I'm pretty sure that with a nice general coat of flat, it should even it all out. So I've got my decals, I've got my setting solutions. Let's go ahead and get these decals on, get this Whitley looking awesome. The decals all on, I gotta tell you, it just brings a model to life. I love it when the decals get on the models. It's just so cool. So we are ready to go. Now these decals have been sitting for about 24 hours. We're gonna go ahead and dive in now with some of the detail work. For example, exhaust stains. The exhaust stains on the Whitley, at least the pictures that I've seen, are quite prominent. So I really wanted to try something new with that and airbrush some exhaust stains coming off of both sides of those engine nacelles and get onto some of those details. All right, exhaust stains are on. I think they look cool. I'm ready to move on to the next step. Now I wanted to try something here with the black base. something that I've never really tried before with black. I wanted to try a dot filter with basic titanium white. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my micro brush and I'm just going to take little tiny dots and I'm going to place them strategically around the wing. Then I'm going to take some mineral spirits and I'm going to just drag it across and pull that paint in the direction of the airflow. Now my hope is it's going to add a little bit of contrast to this. I've done this before with other types of paints and they tend to work well enough, but black is very difficult to weather, seeing as it's just so dark. And I've done a lot of steps here trying to make it light, trying to make it not so heavy. And I think the black basing technique worked with all the marbling coats and the blend coats, but I wanted to add a little bit of extra interest with this titanium white dot filter. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm really going to try it. And so far, I like how it looks. I might need to add a little bit more blending here to make sure it's not too stark, but I think we'll be all right. All right, here we go. Finished product, at least for right now. I like it. I think it looks cool. It adds another level of variation to the actual paint scheme. I think it's cool. Now we're going to try that same technique here, but only on the ailerons, because I wanted to go ahead and try to replicate a little bit of a different material. The ailerons would have been a cloth material, not metal, at least from my understanding. And cloth usually has a different look than metal does. So I want to go ahead and try to lighten those out just a little bit. All right, the dot filter worked well enough. I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but it does add a nice level of different streaks, of different color variations. It's very subtle, but I like subtle, so I'm good with that. Yeah, otherwise, I think we're ready to move on to the next step. Now we're going to go ahead and unmask all the glazing. We're going to unmask the turrets, we're going to unmask the cockpit canopy, we're going to unmask anything that has any sort of window, we're going to unmask it all. So we have all of the bits and bobs now glued on and we are looking beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add one tiny bit of easy line string and I'm going to string it across from the top of the canopy up to the first antenna and then all the way across to the second antenna. That's going to be it. And I think we'll be ready to go ahead and give it a look over, see how we did. Now, again, easy line, I'm new to that, but I've been using it on my World War I aircraft like my Albatross and also my Newport. I love it. It's great stuff. We just need to go ahead and tack it in place with a little bit of super glue. Once that cures, we stretch it to where we need it to go, tack it in with the next area with a little bit of super glue, and then once that's dry, just slice off the excess. Also, one final touch here, I'm going to add an insulator. I've got some basic Elmer's white glue. We're just going to pile it up here until I have a desired effect, and then we're going to leave it to dry. And then I'll put a little bit of white paint on it, and I think we'll be good to go. All right, everybody, let me go ahead and show you the finished product of the Bomber Command Buddy Build, the 1/72nd scale Armstrong Whitley Mk.5. Here she is in all of her finished glory. This has been so much fun. This is a great kit. This was a very big deal for me because not only was it the first time I ever built a 1/72nd scale aircraft, it was also the first time I ever built a British bomber. So that's kind of cool. And on top of all of that, this is the very first Airfix kit I've ever tried. So again, a lot of firsts for me. Also one of the first times I really tried doing the exhaust staining. And it might be a little dark here, but honestly, the pictures I've seen, I tried to make it as dark as I could without going overboard. And I think that looks great. I honestly do. The black basing here on the bottom of the aircraft, that was something new for me as well. I've never actually painted an aircraft with an all black base. And this was challenging, but it was also, I think, highly rewarding. So now I have a better idea about how to weather black, though I do need some work on it for sure. We also added the aerial here on the aircraft, and we added some extra parts and pieces in the cockpit. We really tried to kind of raise up the detail level just a little bit, and even something as simple as an antenna wire adds a lot of character and a lot of life to your model. So I'm really happy, guys. And also the cockpit, if you remember back in the beginning here, I did some seat belts, I did some maps, I tried to kind of busy up the cockpit a little bit to give it some life, to make it look lived in. And honestly, I'm happy with the end results. So what's my overall impression of this kit? Well, honestly, if you couldn't tell, I really enjoyed it. I thought the fit was excellent. Everything was well molded. There wasn't anything that was crazy outlandish. The panel lines weren't trenches. Everything fit together beautifully. I did have a little issue here and there with some of the turrets and some of the glazings. The two-part turret in the rear there was a little hard and a little finicky to get together, but I ended up muscling through it. Also, I would warn that anyone who is interested in building one of these Whitleys, be very careful about which version you do, because they do give you some alternate parts. So you want to make sure you select the correct parts for the version you're building. But anyway, guys, we are done for this buddy build. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey. So we're going to go ahead and call it quits for today. We have finished off the Whitley. We're right under that deadline, so I'm happy. And we are going to go ahead and come back next episode and focus all of our attention on the Great War group build and the Newport 17. So thank you so much for joining us here, guys. We will see you back here on the next episode of Ben Builds. Until then, enjoy your builds, have some fun, go out, build yourself a Whitley. All right, everybody, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.